and welcome to another episode of Olsem One. I'm Florence John Doe. We will highlight to you colon or rectal cancer, which is one of the least talked about cancer in Papua New Guinea. First, we explain colostomy and ileostomy, which are very big, complicated medical terms. This, in layman terms, are cuts made on the abdominal wall during surgery to have an alternative outlet for waste, especially feces. This cut is known as a stoma. Colorectal cancer, or what is simply known as colon cancer, occurs in the colon or rectum. Colon cancer, when discovered in its early stages, is highly treatable. In most cases, it is not clear what causes colon cancer, but literature has it that colon cancer occurs when healthy cells in the colon become altered. It often begins as clumps of precancerous cells on the inside lining of the colon. Early screening, detection, and removal of the clumps can prevent colon cancer. With colon cancer come colostomy and ileostomy, which are surgical procedures.
If you're going to have an ostomy because of a problem with your intestines, it's helpful to first understand how your digestive system normally works. Your digestive system. Digestion starts when you take your first bite and continues when you swallow. The stomach breaks down food into very small pieces, which then move into the small intestine. This is where enzymes break down food into thick liquid, and the body absorbs nutrients, vitamins, and some water. This material moves through the small intestine, also called the ileum, and into the large intestine, also called the colon. In the colon, water is absorbed from the stool, and it becomes thicker as it moves further through the colon. The stool passes from the colon into the rectum and is expelled out through the anus. Your operation will bring either the large or small intestine to the surface of the abdomen. What are an ileostomy and a colostomy? The operation to bring the ileum, or small intestine, to the surface of the abdomen is called an ileostomy, and the operation to bring the colon, or large intestine, to the surface of the abdomen is called a colostomy. What is a stoma? Both operations create a new site on the abdomen called a stoma, where stool leaves the body and collects in an ostomy pouch.
I'm going to use the anatomical apron to explain how our digestive and urinary systems work and how stoma surgery is performed. When we eat and drink, the food and drink travels down from our mouths, down the pipe that leads from the back of our mouth, down through our throat, which is our esophagus or our gullet, into this organ here, which is our stomach. Your stomach is about the size of your clenched fist when it's not doing anything, but obviously it expands when we eat to accommodate the food we've eaten. Your stomach's job is to break the food that you've eaten down into a kind of a mush. So the stomach really is just a big acid bath. Once the stomach's done that, it passes that mush into this very long structure in the middle, which is your small intestine. And your small intestine is the really important bit of your digestive system. It's where all the absorption of your vitamins, minerals and nutrients happens. So it's a really crucial bit. Once your small intestine's done that job, it passes what's left, which is kind of the physical matter of the food you've eaten, plus lots of the fluid that you've drunk, into this structure here, which is your large intestine or your colon. When the food waste enters the large intestine, it's quite full of moisture, and the large intestine's job is to reabsorb that moisture into your bloodstream. If there were to be a problem in part of your colon, for instance, let's take the rectum as an example, a surgeon may need to remove it. So an example of why this might be the case would be something like rectal cancer. So in this scenario, I'm going to show you how the surgeon would open you up so he can see what's what, and cut through the bowel above and below where the problem is. And that affected portion of bowel will be removed. Now this bit here is the end of the system, so everything else in the body is still doing its original job, it's just that the journey ends a little bit sooner than it used to. And for various reasons this can't be connected to the natural opening in your bottom. So what the doctors do instead is they create a new opening. And they do this by making an incision in your abdominal wall and pulling that piece of colon out through that opening, like so. Then they sew you back up, put everything away again. And this bit of bowel, they turn back on itself and stitch it down to secure it. This is called a stoma or ostomy. They both mean the same thing. And this particular type of ostomy is a colostomy because it's an opening from the colon. Normally, colostomies are on the left-hand side of your body, and you would normally wear a closed bag to collect your waste from your colostomy.
With this surgery, it's really, really traumatizing because you have a change in the digestive system where it's not going to be normal anymore, and you wonder how you are going to live after this surgery, having a stoma and living with a bag, collecting the feces in the bag. So in PNG, we have our culture and all that, and then you think about the stigma and the bullying or what people are going to think about you, and all those come into play. And your mind is, mentally you are traumatized. So that's what happened to me.
The opening on the abdominal wall, known as the stoma, is now the exit point for bodily waste. Colostomy and ileostomy patients call themselves ostomates. You're watching Olsem 1M. Many people are not aware that many Papua New Guineans are suffering from colon cancer. The PNG Stoma Association, founded by an ostomate, Janet Yaki, aims to create awareness on colon cancer in the country.
I was a patient myself. So when I had my surgery, I thought I was the only one in PNG until I found out that there were plenty others who were quite, many others like children and adults. So I founded the PNG Stoma Association in order to help them.
The PNG Stoma Association was founded and launched in 2013. The aim of the association is to create awareness to colostomy patients who are suffering silently, and the provision of colostomy supplies, especially bags, to patients in Papua New Guinea.
Currently, like from all around the country, I'm almost having like 130 already now. And so in Port Moresby, most of them are from Port Moresby. But, it's because they are from other provinces too that are here. Because Port Moresby is a referral hospital, so there's a lot of them that also are like from the settlements and from everywhere, that people who are in the city that do have this. And every day it's adding. I'm only talking about people that I am helping, the figure. But there are many others who are suffering out in the rural areas.
Janet has no medical background, but with what medical help she got from medical experts for herself, she is utilizing this to help the unfortunate ostomates throughout the country who do not have the luxury to such help and services.
I operate out from my home. I don't have an office. I've been going around to Lands Office and Housing Corporation, NCD, Governor, going to the, PM, just asking if there's any like state land, special purposes state land that is available, so I can set up a place where once the patients run out of these bags, they can come there. Then they know, like, okay, if you had a TB place, you know where to go. Huh? It's the same. Okay, our patients Well, they're not patients really, but just because we live with this condition, we call ourselves ostomates. The ostomates need to know where to go and collect these surgical appliances when they run out. And we don't have that today. So I have a list of the names and the stoma sizes when they come to the clinic. So I get that, and if they call me, then I go through all the boxes that I have, the supplies with. I go there and I get their size. Then I can go to their place of residence, or if they have cars, I tell them to come to my house.
She feels and knows the plight of ostomates, and despite the obstacles, she makes certain that they get their colostomy bags. This all come about because of kind-hearted people who have heard her pleas and have come on board to help her help other ostomates.
I cannot just send bags because I don't know the stoma size. What I do is I have to measure the stoma with the special measuring card, and according to that size, then I have to give the bag. And I also show the caregivers or parents or the patients on how to cut the bags to the stoma size. And then, I show them how to put it over the stoma so that then the waste goes into the bag. And that's the only way we can help ourselves relieve, the bodily waste. All those who are watching this program, if you have a relative or if you have anyone who has got this, who are passing out feces from the stoma, which is, based outside the wall on the abdomen wall, if you have anyone like that, please, they need to be recognized.
One thing that lacks in this area is awareness on colon or rectal cancer in PNG. Papua New Guineans need to be educated on this medical condition.
I think probably a lot of people, whether it be here in Papua New Guinea, overseas, we're ignorant of the fact that with bowel cancer, that we don't really understand it. We're probably not aware of having bowel cancer until it's too late. And just listening to the Talkback program the other day, there was a 12-year-old boy on that program where he'd never been to school, and he has a stoma bag. And I found it very sad that we don't have enough stoma bags in the country, and Janet's trying to get around to all the provinces, and then a lot of people are using plastic bags, their shopping bags, to try and attach them to wherever they've got the problem with the tube. And of course, with our urine and our faeces, it's acidic, and of course that causes problems with sores. And I just felt, pretty terrible about the whole thing, and I said, no, I need to get on board and to be able to help.
The effort by the PNG Stoma Association to raise awareness on colostomy and ileostomy through the use of media is slowly gaining recognition. Thanks to the Director General of Matrix Constructions, PNG, ostomates in the autonomous region of Bougainville will have colostomy bags distributed by Janet this week.
My name's Greg Neville. A few weeks ago I was listening to Janet on the Talkback program with Roger Hawafa, and as you probably know, you probably don't know, that Matrix and the Neville family, we sponsor cervical and breast cancer awareness for grassroots people in PNG. And when I heard the plight about bowel cancer in PNG, and it's probably a silent killer, and didn't know too much about it and didn't realise it was as bad as what it is. And it was from that I sat with Janet and the gentleman from the Gold Coast, and we developed a bit of a relationship. I've known Janet's husband for many, many years, Roy Yaki, so yeah, we're on board now to help not only with Bougainville but any other provinces in PNG whereby we can help with airfares or accommodation, whatever we can, because it's a silent killer and we're here to help.
Welcome back to the program. In this segment, we will take a closer look at colostomy or stoma bags and how important These bags are for patients who have undergone ileostomy and colostomy surgery. One vital appliance that is a must-have for ostomates are stoma or colostomy bags. However, this appliance is hard to find in our country.
They have no place to go to. So they resort to diapers, they resort to pieces of lap material, plastic shopping bags. It's a very sad situation. We cannot live a good quality life without these bags. Now I am able to move around because of this bag.
The following is a brief explanation on these bags.
It's one of the bags that we use. As you can see here, they've got numbers. It tells how many centimeters. So when we measure the stoma, then we cut to the size of the stoma. And then we, put it over the stoma for the patient. And this is called a closed bag because there's no opening at the bottom. This is a closed bag. Okay, this one that we have here, that one is a drainable bag. It has an opening at the bottom. So when the patient, from now, like at the hospitals, I'm telling them that they can drain the waste out and use the bag like two or 3 days, whereas the closed one, you cannot do that. This is disposable, but they cannot flush it down the toilet. They cannot. It has to be thrown in as the normal waste, but it has to be rinsed out and cleaned out. The bag has to be emptied before they throw it out. So there are many different types. These ones are for adults, and the pediatric children's bags are totally different. Pediatric bags, that's for babies or children. So the adults have their own and children have their own, depending on the size. So this one goes up to only 3 centimeters. But if the babies have, larger stoma, then I have to measure them and give them the correct size. So for these children, I am almost running out. And this and a few more, that's all I have. Several patients have gone without it. The children have gone without the bags because I've run out of bags. So one thing I'm going to do is go to Bougainville. There are 10 children there. I'm going to measure the stoma. Then I'm going to put the order after I get the correct size of the bags.
Welcome back. To conclude this week's episode, we now hear stories from ostomates or colostomy patients and their caregivers and the struggles they go through. The task of looking after colostomy patients, or ostomates as they call themselves, is not a job that one can just get up and do. It takes courage, love, and commitment for the caregiver to actually assist their loved ones. This also takes a lot out of the ostomates. They live with the challenge of having a bag attached to their abdomens, which can be for life. The challenges colostomy patients face every day are real and to some extent disheartening.
I had this change of my body when I was passing out. I kept on passing out blood. But, I was too ashamed to tell even my family members. So I suffered for 15 years until it came to a stage where, the pain was excruciating and I couldn't stand it anymore. And I went for a medical checkup and they told me it's not a good state. So the surgery was not able to be done here in PNG. So they told me to seek overseas medical treatment.
It's very embarrassing to look after people like that, or even an adult who has his own colostomy bag. Because as she said it already, to look after yourself. And when, because we have all normal muscles to push our waste out. These people, it just comes when it comes.
Losing a family member who is seeking medical help overseas for colon cancer is a very difficult experience.
My mom, Linda Sangme Roden, was a patient. She had colon cancer. It was tough on us. You know, the fact that my mom only 3 years ago was diagnosed with colon cancer, and just to lose her 3 years later, it was tough. Doctors spoke to us in Australia and said, listen, your mom's a stage 3 or between stage 3 and stage 4, so there's not much we can do except try to prolong her survival. So hearing that was very tough. But then we had to be strong, so we decided that we need to do fundraising drives here in Port Moresby. Reason being is the supply. There wasn't any supply here. We had to get supplies from Australia. We had to send mom to Australia to get, her medical, screening and some, whatever operations that needed to be done had to be done at blood tests, etc. A lot of families do medical fundraisings just to send their loved ones abroad. It's sad, but it's true.
Despite the evident fact of the challenges that ostomates and their families go through, living life on a positive note every day adds value to one's quality of life. Encouragement and support are such factors that keep ostomates going.
The support is very important. When you don't have that support, you will go into a shell. People tend to give up very quickly when there is an option there, but people just don't know. There's no awareness. It's not only the patient that has cancer that sort of suffers from this. It affects the loved ones as well, their close family, their children especially.
Ostomates and their caregivers are now appealing to relevant authorities, more so the national government, to address these issues faced by colostomy patients.
The government needs to do a lot. Why are we sending our citizens abroad to get treatment when we can invest money in the medical facilities here in the country, so that we can have that luxury of going to the hospital and getting the treatment that we need.
The health, if the business community and we all get on board, whether it's bowel cancer or whether it's cervical cancer or breast cancer, and I think with the international community and what you're doing now by doing this program and bringing the awareness out, I think it's a fantastic thing, and I'd like to see more business people out there get on board and try and make something happen.
And that's all the time we have for you this week on Olsem 1M. Until next week, a friendly reminder that if you have any comments or stories you would like to share, please send us an email via the address now showing on your screen, or post it on our Olsem 1M Facebook page. Until then, I'm Florence John Duo. Thank you for watching, and it's goodbye for now.